The year is 1904. We find our old protagonist now wandering the streets of Paris, just 2 weeks after his departure from his home in Ireland. He has spent his time attentively observing his surroundings and looking for sources of artistic inspiration anywhere and everywhere. It hasn't been the easiest transition, however. His past fills his thoughts constantly, preventing him from progressing. Is Stephen's flight away from Ireland necessary to escape the confines of religion and culture?
Oh, life. Is this really what it means to finally be free from the imprisonment of Ireland? That my independence from that land has now turned itself into a dependence on repression astonishes me. What must I do to truly become independent?
Just then, Stephen hears a grumble in his stomach.
I'd best take care of this first. Mother wouldn't want me to waste away even when I've left the very place starving me of my opportunities to advance. This will suffice for now.
Stephen enters Le Dôme, one of Paris's most famous eateries, known for its constant activity and incomparable selection of seafood.
Look at all the queer individuals, all with distinct identities coexisting in an almost surreal manner. The idea that these people have full control of their lives and interactions is somewhat mystifying. Even as I listen to their conversations, they talk of food, festivities, and fun, not of religion and political slander. This is a truly different land.
A waiter approaches Stephen, asking him for his order.
What will you have, monsieur? I do recommend the daurade with a side of freshest clams.
Stephen, not in a mood to speak, simply nods his head, and 10 minutes later is presented his food. He then thinks to himself,
This is not food for eating. Look how the platter is laid out. A spiral of color and richness. The scales of the once skittering fish now glistening before my eyes. The assortment of sauces and clams, all complementing one another.
Stephen takes one bite out of his fish and figures it'd be best to not disturb its pristine beauty. It reminded him of the girl he had met on the beach.
Oh, where have you flown, exotic seabird? Why has your presence even deluded my thoughts for this long? The Irish land may have been filthy, but you were a glistening gem. It was your beauty that brought me to sea.
Stephen exits the restaurant and begins to stroll into the countryside, with memories of Ireland all flooding back to him. This, coupled with extreme exhaustion, causes Stephen to hear the voice of his father in his head.
Oh, Stephen, it's been a while.
That voice, it's so familiar. Father?
Stephen thinks back to the last entry he wrote in his journal. April 27th. Old father, old artificer, stand me now and ever in good stead.
You wanted me to look after you, and that is what I must do. I know your life was hard, but don't mind that. In the present, my concern lies in your artistic pursuits. You confided in me to the very end of your time in Ireland. I will not disappoint you. Now tell me, Stephen, are you truly happy here?
Anything is better than that place. You know how I feel, Father. I came here to start my life anew, with a blank slate. I came here to forge in the smithy of my soul the uncreated conscience of my race. Religion, schooling, race, all clouded my perception of myself. I was a puppet, blindly following what I was told. My consciousness was clouded, and thus my work was unable to form. I needed to escape, to free my consciousness and create a new identity. I need to create a name for myself before I could create a name for my nation. It is not my happiness, but rather my purpose that brought me here.
Are you sure your ambition hasn't surpassed your sense of rationality? Dearest Stephen, you know your namesake. You know that Ireland may not present you with the most pleasant of situations, but it is really necessary to fly that far. Your dreams may just end up burning up in the atmosphere of unrealistic expectations, and you could come crashing down.
I will tell you exactly what I told Davin. When the soul of a man is born in this country, there are nets flung at it to hold it back from flight. You talk to me of nationality, language, religion. I shall try to fly by those nets. That was my life in Ireland. I had no hope of progress. If I burn up trying to soar, so be it. At least I will have tried to create something of my identity. I will not let my namesake hold me down. My decision to avoid these nets and relocate myself was the only way for me to escape the seemingly insurmountable burdens I had to face. How can you ask me to be proud of my nationality when my entire life has been full of mixed opinions? Was Parnell's death good for Ireland? Was the Catholic Church deserving of the authority it had? These questions created my childhood. The bickering created my dissatisfaction. How can I pursue my artistic calling with this static noise piercing through my thoughts? Look at me here. It has been but 2 weeks, and everywhere I go, every sight I see is another source for inspiration. This is where I belong.
Just then, the voice stopped. All that remained was Stephen and the knife in hand. He continued walking, gazing at the stars, not knowing where he was headed or what lay ahead of him, but sure he would make it through. Escape was the right course of action. Doubt was no longer a source of concern. Self-actualization was within his grasp.